Welcome back to Franchise Hockey Manager 10 with the Montreal Canadiens Return to Glory. If you were last with us, you saw that we finished towards the bottom of the standings, but we do have a ton of picks this year, and sky is the limit. I think this year we can probably bump up a little bit to where we were, maybe even make the playoffs, but as you can see, we end up attaining a ton of picks. Not that those help us this year, but even just looking at our depth chart, it's pretty good. Lafreniere looks like he's starting to establish himself. We might even put him on the top line and bring down Kirby Doc. So who thought that we would anyone could say that actually for Lafreniere, but it doesn't look like his career is completely over yet. We still have Philip Massar as well, who looks to be joining us. We might I don't know what we might end up trying to send him out if we can. Won't let me do it. No, he might end up starting in the AHL to start the season, but we're still optimistic about that. We'll show you in terms of the annual finances. So we ended up raising. We're greedy, so we end up raising the price by $10. See if that ends up affecting anything. Wage budget, we end up using the same because we weren't really using it, so why waste points there? Transfer budget's kind of the same, doesn't really affect anything. We raised development by 3, just makes the most sense, especially since this is a rebuild. Strategic marketing, heavy marketing, we're just going to see what that does. I'm not even sure what that does, but I'm assuming that we're going to end up seeing the profits to our labor. And then we end up adding 1,064 regular seats. Since they are fanatics, I'm assuming that with that and the increase that we should end up getting a lot more points towards the end of the season, especially since we don't think we're going to be a terrible team. I think we're going to be a playoff contender at least. Just by first look of it, it doesn't look like we're going to be too bad. I was looking at the free agency. Stamkos is someone that we should consider. He is 34. It will kind of jumpstart the rebuild by a lot, considering if it doesn't cost that much, we might be able to squeeze him in. He wants $8 million for 2 years. That's not, considering what we have to play with, that's not too bad, but it does command more than our top stars, so you know what, we probably can't do that. We still have to retain Lafreniere as well, and maybe Kidney or send him away. Yeah, it doesn't seem right to do that now, and we do need to improve our defense as well. Yeah, and Mayu, yeah. So we're not going to end up doing that. We're not going to go for him. We do need a goalie as well. I don't see any. We might actually wait for that to drop. If no one ends up going for him, and he wants like 5 million, maybe we go for it. But in terms of potential, we might end up putting a bid for Jeremy Langlois. Bluger's too old. Maybe even Lajoie as well, but it's all potential. There's nothing really there. I didn't see any goalies in it, which is kind of disappointing. But we're gonna try and see if Drouin. No, we're done with that guy. There's no way in hell we're gonna sign him on this team, especially knowing what you gave up for him. It's yeah, gave up a top defender for him, and he turned out to be nothing. So as you can see, these are the free agents. There's a decent amount that could probably end up playing for us. For us, it's just going to be dependent on age. We're not going to want to sign anyone that's too old, and someone that can actually kind of develop into our third or fourth line guy, but I'm still not really seeing too many goalies. This guy looks like he might be decent. Oh, we're going to have to scout him. Okay, maybe not. Well, yeah, we'll have to take a deeper dive to it as well. But as you can see, our transactions that we end up doing, we managed to sign all the guys that we needed to, that were just expiring, and then we got rid of the ones that we weren't going to keep. For 2-6 and a fifth, I mean, one of these guys, I think it was Smolenic, was a third round pick a couple years back. So yeah, we weren't going to sign him. I just didn't really see a point to doing it. And if we can get anything for him, might as well just keep pushing for the next year and see if we can actually attain anything from that. But we did get rid of Phil Kessel. He's in a contract year and he's old, but not bad. Getting a fourth round pick for this year from LA is pretty good for a guy who's not even. I don't even think they signed him yet, but it's much better than just letting him go. So we end up signing Dmitry Kostenko. He 3-star potential. Not really anything to write home about, but hopefully he can develop. We might even send him to our ECHL. And oh, Reinbacher looks like he's going to be with us this season. We're going to end up trying to put him top line minutes. So we will, for this whole save, we're probably willing to sacrifice development over standing, at least for the first bit. Carey Price ended up retiring after that, so that mistake is still going to haunt us, that's for sure. Owen Beck looks like he's going to play with us as well this year, unless we loan him out again. No, you can't loan him out. Yeah, so it looks like he's going to probably play with us, so we're going to have to find a spot to put him in, but we're going to have to look at how our lines are going to end up working, because then we still have Leckermacki that end up coming back as well, who we're going to want to slot in one of the top spots, so we might even have to let go of Doc or something, or someone like that. Just because I feel as though our third line and fourth line should just more or less be younger guys. One more speed and then one more grit. Then Brady Keeper ends up becoming a free agent. So as you can see, we didn't do too much, but the draft is just around the corner. So we're going to try and do a little bit of trades, free agencies, and then see where we end up towards the draft. Let's jump to the draft lottery, see where the fate of this franchise ends up. As long as we don't end up getting shafted and end up picking like 6th or 7th or whatever, we should be happy with this. Top 3 pick is ideal. Oh my god. We're probably going to be 4th though. Oh my god. What is happening? What is happening? Oh my god, we end up getting the top pick. Oh, this is fantastic. I don't think words can express how this feels. That never happens. 5-1. Fantastic. As long as Chicago doesn't end up getting 2 first-round picks in a row, this is perfect for our franchise. I'm going to show you a quick little snippet of what we end up doing in the preseason real quick before we end up doing the draft. But yeah, we got top pick, but then we have no second round pick until much later on. So far our trades have been as such. We have, oh no, transaction lock. There we go. So we end up trading Allen for a 4th round pick, and then we end up extending Primo. He's going to be our goalie moving forward. We tried to negotiate with Wall, but he wants to test the free agency. So the way that I see it is good riddance. There's no way in hell that we are going to invest in you, especially since you guys are like, you're roughly the same as our backup. Yeah, it's pretty much the same. Need a bit more mental poke check. But Primo we end up drafting in the 7th round, so I will give him the nod, if anything. But we are still obviously looking for a goalie, but this does set us a little bit back as well. I think Jacob Dobes might even be the guy that we end up starting, or Dichow as well. So he has a pretty decent save percentage, but that was in the SHL. So hopefully we can do something with that. Jump to the draft, and we don't know who we're going to end up taking. As you look at the mock draft here, it ends up saying Demidov is number 1, but just looking at him, he he doesn't really like nothing really jumps out the page. Like his offensive read's pretty good. Yeah, his passing's pretty good as well. His agility is good. Defense is non-existent. But we end up looking at the scouting here, and they end up saying that currently he's obviously a third line player. Isn't quite the same class as Josh Anderson. I don't know where Josh Anderson ends up being like the staple of whether or not you can play in the NHL, but I guess that's what he is. But it says that he might wind up being a little bit better than Cole Caulfield is right now. Now, if he's going to end up being better than Cole Caulfield is going to be like our franchise player anyway, so why would we I don't know. Why would we really mess with that? It does say that his personality, though, tends to stay off or out of trouble off the ice. Tends to move around more than average, so he doesn't get too attached. I feel as though if we're re-signing him, that might end up screwing us over. I'd rather take a player that wants to be here. Um, Demidov has pretty good ability to read the play and has hockey smarts. Skating is pretty good and it has pretty good stamina. The weakest part of this game is his physical. Gets injured a bit more often than you'd like to see. Yeah, that sounds like a red flag for me. Let's see Celebrini. Celebrini is the guy that we want. I'm probably saying his name wrong, but that is besides the point. As you look at his physical attributes, that jumps off the page: his speed and his agility. That alone I will take a little bit above Demidov, and then his offensive read is a 1 less, but his shooting accuracy, passing, everything seems to jump off. Even his defensive rating seems to be all right. Mental looks fine as well, all in the green, except for the aggression temperament, which I mean that's pretty good. Anyways, if you look at his USHL stats, he had 46 goals and 40 points. But I'd probably rather him kind of as a playmaker anyways. As you can see in NCAA, he ended up passing way more and getting assists than he did of goals. It says his role is a power forward here. Important skills, green, obviously. And then scouting report, a little worse than Josh Anderson. Okay, but still a little bit better than Cole Caulfield as well. But yeah, has potential to be an outstanding player in our league. Yeah, that sounds right on point. Strongest part of his game is his hockey sense, anticipation, play. He's a fairly strong player, has above average stamina. Skating is pretty good. Weakest part of his game is physical play. Even worse aspects of celebrating games are still relatively strong. Exactly. This sounds exactly like what we want. His personality. He's able to adapt to new surroundings. Opponents aren't fond of chippy side of his game, and he stays out of trouble. That sounds like our guy. And then top 3 is Berkeley Catton. So his scouting report is, again, Josh Anderson. I guess Josh Anderson is probably the worst player on our team, is why they're probably comparing him to it. But potential is Kirby Dach. So Kirby Dach is a guy that we might end up moving away from throughout the franchise. And throughout the save, so I don't know why we would invest too much in him. Strongest part of his game is skating, and his weakest part of his physical. And yeah, he gets injured a lot. That sounds like a no. He is a top 3 pick, though. Let's see what our scout ends up suggesting. McMillan. Okay, we need to fire our scouts. He is projected to be 143, and they want us to draft him number 1. That seems... Maybe that's why Montreal has made controversial picks in the past. Celebrini is their number 2, though, so I will give him that. And then Aremba is their 3, but that's 104. We can grab him anytime that we want. That seems like a guy that we're going to end up picking with like our 3rd or 4th pick. And then Tifo. This guy just sounds like he's French. His stamina is pretty good. We might end up getting him as well. 199, yeah. So all these top guys that we have scouted, we can get in the later rounds. Why would we even waste it with that? So we're gonna do, yeah, we're gonna pick Celebrini with our first one, and then I'm curious to see what ends up happening with the next 2 picks. Brian Nicholas is the next one. No way. He's projected to be 182. Maybe we have to rethink the strategy. Or maybe Red Wings knows something that we don't. Demidov, yeah, there we go. Top 3. Let's see if Berkeley Catton comes up. Yorchuk as well. 202. Yeah, maybe we have to pick these guys that they're suggesting a little bit earlier. That is so odd that... Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, you see there's a ton of 5-stars there. And we do need left wingers. And then Aremba. Aremba's picked as well. So he picked super early compared to... Alright, let's just sim until our next pick. And let's see who is left. See when Berkeley Catton ends up going. Tifo ends up getting picked as well. Cole Hudson, I think that's a guy that we were looking at as well. We might end up trading for him later on. He's projected 43rd. We could have... Oh no, actually he was picked a bit before when we saw. Berkeley Catton, I don't see. Tanner Ho is another guy I know about. Yeah, Cole Hudson was 14th pick. Luke Misa is also a guy that we have seen in last year's save as well do well. Don't see Justin Poirier as well. I don't see him, Berkeley Catton. We'll probably end up seeing him later on, but our next pick, let's see, scout suggestion, Howell lefty. Passing's pretty good. They have him at 46, but as we know, we can't trust that number anymore. Beaudin, I think this is redemption. Beaudin's the guy I think we signed, or we drafted last year, maybe in the first round pick. And we end up losing him because we forgot to sign him. So we might... Beaudin might be the guy that we end up having to pick because of that. It's just redemption at this point. He ends up signing with, I think, Chicago Blackhawks. Alright, 45. That's kind of what they're projecting him as. We do need a left winger. Or at least like a depth of what a left winger. His stats don't really jump off the page. But you know what? We're going to pick him anyways. Maybe Muse is someone that we look at next. And then Muse is gone. Or at least it looks like he's gone. Oh, no, there's way more picks. Okay. Get the next 2 picks here. Goalie, it doesn't make sense to waste it now. Alright, we kind of want at least like a 1.5 star though, to be honest. So, Cole Miller is a guy I think we end up looking at in the draft. Nope, he is a nobody. Do need defense. His offensive read's pretty good. He's projected to be 18th pick. Yes, I think we're going to try it with Adam here. And then 6'7". Ooh. His physical rating seems pretty... Yeah, we're going to pick these 2 guys back to back, actually. He is in our short list, too. So we're going to grab the... Oh, this guy's on our short list. 57. You know what? We're going to grab these two guys first. Yeah. Zidlicki. Ooh. That guy looks good too. See who's left for us here. Sato. OHL. WHL. 47th pick. French player. They're calling Lafreniere a French player? scored high on his IQ test. Don't know if that's good or not. He was projected to be 47th. He doesn't look that good, though. Where's his determination's not high enough for me, to be honest. Yala. Let's see. 102, scouting. Noted for his intelligence. Don't let criticism get him down. Playmaking, that's good. He's green everywhere. He is 19 though. Don't typically like to sign those guys. See what our scout suggestion is before we decide to fire them. LaRue. Feels like we're gonna end up picking someone that our scout suggests, and then we're going to fire them immediately if that ends up being the guy that ends up costing us. Let's go. Safe suggestion is Gabe Smith, center. Nothing really jumps out the page. What's a risky suggestion? Declan Waddick. Be very, very quiet. Must hunt Wabbit. Yeah, he is a bit of a... And Cole Miller, I swear I saw him before. Or maybe it's just from previous years that kind of ends up coming up to get us. Let's see what this... Nope. Nothing, yeah, nothing really jumping off the page. Let's see, current ability. Current ability is Bo Jelsma, but he is 20. 209, yeah, we're not going to do that. Sato is the other guy, though. 36. You know what? He is green everywhere. Determination's a bit higher, too. Perimeter shooter. His defense is just terrible. And he's from Frontenac, so, I mean, everything seems like we should get him. Strongest part, his weakest part is his physical play. He does get injured a little bit more. We are okay with having one of those. They say that he might be like Kirby Doc, though. And he's 18. His acceleration's pretty good. You know, let's try out Sato. Just as I say that, there's another guy that pops up. Like, we have so many picks that it does kind of make sense to just not really guess, but like take a little bit of risks than what we normally would. Zidlicki looks to be alright as well. It feels like we need defense and goalie. If we don't end up grabbing a goalie at this point, yeah, we should probably grab a goalie. Matthew Frost, is that Morgan Frost's brother? No, but he was projected to be 89th. Loyalty isn't a big motivating factor. Oh, what the hell? Sean Monahan, and then none of his weaknesses are serious liabilities. I mean, we could just grab him. Let's grab... Should be available later. No, we'll just remember the name, hopefully. This guy was on our short list as well. Doesn't let himself get complacent. Injuries as well. None of his things really jump out. He's the only one on our short list currently. Alright, never mind then. You know what, Cole Miller, we will pick you. Just because the name sounded familiar. I'm probably going to be regretting it later on. But we're down in like the 4th round anyway, so let's just get this done super quick. 57. You know what? It's on our short list for a reason. Let's pick him. And then let's trust a scout with this one. Yeah, we do need a goalie. You are right. 944 is pretty good. 185, 6 feet. Aggression's not there. Don't we want aggression? Yeah, we'll pick them anyways. Oh, wow. Yeah, we'll pick Periskak. Welcome aboard right winger. That's kind of shocking. Pick until human. Hmm. No, we might get him with like our last pick. It says the 5th round though. Trey Wilkie. His puck handling's pretty good. Acceleration. And his IQ. I think his determination might be a little bit higher with his IQ though. Alright. This is probably going to be the last time that we end up trusting our scouts. Shane Smith. Nothing to write home about. Oh no, we'll just go back to the draft. And then we'll just kind of pick based on what we see. He is 19. Let's just, we'll pick him. We're either going to be the best draft or the worst draft. Zidlicki, right wing. I think we did grab those 2 defensemen, but yeah, we'll grab him. Martin. Grab Martin. And I think if we can grab another goalie, if they pop up, that would be fantastic. Or a 2-star guy, actually. No, he's 20. I don't need 20-year-olds on my team. OHL, Owen Van. His name sounds kind of cool. And he's North Bay Battalions. You know what? Yeah, we'll pick you. It's just 20-year-olds left anyways. Except for him. Yeah, we'll pick a guy that was projected to be 81th pick, or 81st pick, 81st pick. Oh dear God. Fiala sounds good too. I mean, I just like the names of Licky. Fiala. Fiala looks, yeah, we'll take him. Yeah, we'll take Fiala. We're just gonna try and cruise through this because I don't think that our 7th round picks are really gonna do anything for us. It's the best now. Jalesma. You know what, Coach Delic we'll do. We've grabbed him before. He is 20 though, but whatever. Is that it? Is that? I think that's the last one. Abraham. You know what? Maybe we sign this guy then. Sign this guy as a free agent. And maybe we find someone else as well. Who else is kind of jumping off the page? His physicals are pretty good. Acceleration. Playmaker. 3-star potential. 2nd all team. Sturks? And these guys were projected to be drafted, so there's like a. This guy doesn't look too bad. Here's what we want one. We want another one. 5'11", Yeah, you know what? We will try you out. So those are our two that we'll do. Let's see what they grade us as. Trust your scouts. With the number 1 overall pick, draft a player who is not predicted to be number 1 in the draft. Okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. We'll look at the draft review here, and it says we have the best draft. Celebrini, Baudin, uh, Janisic, Salayev, Sato, Cole Miller, Prodakar, Mayet, Paraskak, and Wilkie. And then there's obviously more as well. But that is the draft. So we'll end up doing a little bit of maneuvering around and see if we end up even signing Celebrini and see if we can end up getting any trades for prospects in the future. Let's jump to a regular season roster. I'll show you a couple transactions that we ended up doing throughout the offseason. Owen Beck ended up looking good. We ended up bringing him back down though. He didn't do very well in the preseason, so I couldn't justify bringing him up. But if he does well in the AHL, we will bring him up. But he was a 56 overall, or sorry, 56 grade. Didn't really do too great. He played 6 games too, so he only really had 1 goal. So we're gonna let him kind of marinate a little bit in the AHL there, and probably bring him up as well because it was between him and Harvey Pinard. And I do like Harvey Pinard as well. When you see our lines, you'll kind of understand why we did what we did. I'll explain it a little bit more. And then we basically just sent all these guys down. Even Konovalov, who we ended up signing, didn't do too well. We ended up grabbing Kapanen and Mrazek as our free agent signings. Mrazek's probably going to be our starter for the whole season. And Kapanen's going to fit in on the 4th line. I think it's going to be a good addition. I do actually like Kapanen. I do find him to be quite underrated. So him being our 4th liner is probably going to help us a whole hell of a lot. We ended up acquiring a 4th round pick for Myzak. He wasn't going to end up playing anyways. So why not get something for him? So 2026 picks, so we won't see any of that for a while. We end up getting a prospect. I don't know if he's going to be any good or not, but we end up getting rid of a decent amount of our prospects, and then the rights to another goalie as well. So it's just a little bit of an upgrade in terms of goalie. Doesn't really show anything other than 4-star potential. So hopefully that's good, but his save percentage looked pretty good, so I'd rather take a gamble on the 22-year-old that we're going to probably bring up next year, at least for our backup, or even potentially fight for our starting position. And then we end up giving up Quinton Miller, who's 19. I mean, he could be decent, but yeah, he has the potential to exceed Mrazek, so I don't know. I just decided to kind of make a gamble on that. We gave up a decent amount for it. But that's just the way it is. I think Cleary was a decent prospect for our right D, which is a place where we need help. But we just decided to get rid of him. And then Savard and Anderson, which is more so just kind of a cap dump. Savard wasn't that good for us anyway, so might as well give him to a contender. He's probably going to slot in the 3rd probably line with them. And then Josh Anderson, he was everyone that was being compared to. But for us, I saw Kapanen and I decided to take Kapanen instead of Anderson. But hopefully that doesn't haunt us in the future, but I don't think so. A 5th and a 4th aren't too bad collateral for that. And then we end up getting the rights of McCarty. We end up giving up Middlestad, Lajoie, Davidson, and Sabalov, and a 3rd round pick for McCarty. He is a future center, but we might end up switching him on the wing. 5-star potential, 2-star current. He is currently with the Omaha Mavericks. Around 2 more years of eligibility there, but his scouting looks pretty good. kind of like Owen Beck, and could be. Oh, looks like he's going to be a lot better than Cole Caulfield. So our scouting was pretty decent on that, so we decided to pull the trigger on that. And then we ended up, I don't know, this feels a little bit cheap. We ended up getting a couple cap dumps and then the rights to Demidov. We might not end up playing him. We might end up trading him anyways, but I kind of want to see where he develops anyways. And we end up giving three solid prospects, a fifth and a third. So hopefully Demidov ends up being decent, but he ended up dropping down from the first overall pick for a reason. We didn't end up picking him, but he ended up dropping, I think, to like the third or fourth. So as you can see, he dropped to drop. Yeah, he's picked third overall by Chicago. So yeah, he ended up dropping from the top one because we ended up taking Celebrini instead, and now we end up getting Demidov as well. We did the wrong thing by extending Caden Primo in terms of his contract. He doesn't look like he's going to be that good. He's not even going to be our backup at this point. One of the guys that we had prior looks like he's going to end up doing that. We end up getting a bunch of contracts as well, as you can see, and we end up getting rid of Allen for Miller. But I think we ended up showing you that before. But one of the cool things that we ended up doing here was we decided to bring our boy home. Pacioretty slots on the third line with Monahan and Gallagher, so it's kind of like a homecoming there. I really like that as the third line. But Cole Caulfield, Suzuki, and now Lafreniere is going to slot on the top. So hopefully that ends up doing well. A sniper, a perimeter shooter, and a playmaker. And then Slakowski ends up slotting in with Zach Benson, who we're still trying to develop as a second year, and then Doc. And then as our fourth line, we have Ilonen and Harvey Pinard and Kapanen. One of the reasons why we didn't end up bringing up, what's his name? Owen Beck is because he probably would have started as the fourth line, and I don't really want to ruin his potential just the year one as the fourth liner. And I didn't really want to break up Monahan and Gallagher as well. I kind of like that line. And then we kind of had the speed for the fourth line. And then for top defenseman, we're going to lock in Matheson with Reinbacher, so a shutdown and a point shooter. Matheson's stats are just kind of off the chart. And then Gouli and Barron are going to be our two our second liners, and then Harris and Lindstrom being our third line. Power play is going to have Caulfield, Suzuki, and Lafreniere, Slakowski, Monahan, and Gallagher. So that's pretty good. And then you have Benson as the lefty for it, and Barron as well on the second line, and then you have Matheson and Gouli. So overall, pretty good for that. And then 5-on-3 is pretty much all the same. Penalty killing, we're gonna have Doc and Kapanen, Suzuki, Lonen, and Lafreniere and Caulfield. So not too bad, but I don't think the bottom one's gonna start as much. And then in terms of our goalies here, Dobes ended up beating him out, and then Mrazek is going to start. Dobes had a decent preseason with us, so might as well reward that, and he does have potential. Where's the preseason? Yeah, he did average 2.02, and he had a 97 grade, so we might even decide to invest a bit more in his development as well. His contract we did extend to 1.4. We'll quickly look at our cap obligations as well. Pacioretty we only signed for the 1 year, so we'll kind of see how it goes throughout the season and decide whether or not we want to extend him. But since we do have a decent amount of prospects coming up, we won't do anything with that. And then our goalies are locked up for a bit, so we are locked up for a little while. We will just do... Oh. Well then. We will have to finagle this a little bit. Let's just get a... Corey Perry, did he ever end up going to... No, oh, he did. Okay, no, he did come for 1 year. Let's just sign him to a 1 year deal. Sure. And that should help us, and then we can bring someone down. And I guess Primo's gonna... It feels like we're gonna lose him as soon as we end up bringing him down, though. It feels like anyone that we end up bringing down, we're gonna lose. No, actually, Anderson is only... So that should fix that. And then at least we have Perry if we ever need it throughout the season. That's not a bad acquisition there between him and Kapanen. So just out of I guess routine, let's just kind of play the first game, see how well we end up doing. Maybe even play the first couple games to kind of see where we're at. Hopefully we end up winning the opener, but it'll be a decent indication of whether or not we're going to be a dumpster fire this year or we actually have a shot. But so far, Boston losing their first game probably does not look good for them. All right, everyone's happy except for Reinbacher for whatever reason. Okay, let's test this out. 1-0 loss, not the worst thing in the world, but I think Columbus is a rebuilding team, so that might be a little bit alarming. Oh, we were at least at Columbus, so I guess that makes sense. And then we're at home against New Jersey, and then we have a back-to-back against Boston. So we'll end up probably playing like the next 3 or 4, and then kind of see where we're at with that. But a 1-0 loss isn't the worst thing in the world. It is if Columbus only has 1 win by the end of it. See, we could have got this guy instead. Alright. Let's see. 4-3, so it's coming. We're at least managing to score. But nothing out of Caulfield yet. Hopefully we can at least get 1 win before this, but we will play until we end up getting a win, so rest assured, even if it takes forever, we will do so. We might end up getting rid of Primo, though. 6-1, that is terrible. Yeah, this is not the best start. Our preseason, we didn't do too well. I think we only had 1 win in that as well. But we do have Calgary's first round pick as well, so hopefully Calgary does terrible this season if we do as well. But I thought our team was a little bit better than that. Maybe it's just the kind of like the cohesion of the team is not there yet, but 3 games, 3 losses, and then I don't know if it's going to be New York Islanders or Rangers. I think it's NYR when it's New York Rangers. But Islanders are at the top, so that's probably not a good thing. Either that or Mrazek is actually trash, but no, it is Rangers. That's weird. 3-1 loss. Alright. On to Buffalo. I had high hopes for this team. I guess we are not as good as I thought. But there's a whole season ahead of us. I wouldn't be surprised if we just have like the early season jitters and then we kind of go back on track afterwards. They want to get rid of Adam Fox. There's no way. All right, maybe we go for Adam Fox in the end of it. It's either them or Detroit. Nope, another loss. That is 5 straight losses. And Detroit's actually high in the standings as well. And Buffalo is surprisingly 5-0. So anyone that's looking to rebuild Sabres, it looks like it only takes 1 year for them to be at the top of the league. Same thing with Red Wings as well, at least early on. And same with Calgary. That is shocking. They haven't lost in regulation yet. But we do have Pittsburgh coming up. Hopefully we can manage to do something with that. Finally, our very first win ends up coming probably because they started their backup goalie. Maybe Sebastian Kose or Kosa. Oh, he does look good. Never mind, he might not be their guy. But finally, Cole Caulfield ends up scoring for us. It's his second actually, but he really needs to turn on this year. So does Benson as well. So a quick look after 6 games and our very first win. We will look at our offense and then kind of leave it there, and then jump to the trade deadline to kind of see it. So Gallagher is still averaging a point a game. Benson's up there as well, and Monahan as well. So that's kind of shocking. It's just our top 2 lines aren't producing enough, or at least our top line. Sorry, Cole Caulfield 3 points in 6 games is not that great, and Lafreniere with 3 points in 6 games isn't that great either. So hopefully we can manage to turn this around. Stay tuned to find out. Sim to the end of the season. I know we said that we were going to do till the trade deadline, but we didn't really do any trades, and we kind of just wanted to get the season over with, considering we didn't do that well. We started off a little bit rocky, as you could see, but then we just decided, you know what, why not add an extra year to the rebuild? Because we have a decent amount of prospects that we end up bringing up this year to replace the old ones, and 69 points is just a little bit worse than last year. It does put us in a better position in terms of the draft. We are bottom 3, but I know with our luck, it's probably going to bump us up to like 5th or something like that. But who knows? Here's a look at what we end up doing towards the end of it. We end up putting Zach Benson at the top with Cole Caulfield and Kirby Dach. But Kirby Dach, I feel as though we're going to end up shipping towards the end. I think Lafreniere was up there, actually, or Slafkovsky was actually up there. So this is kind of what it looked like here. So then we end up having Cole Caulfield, Zach Benson, Slafkovsky, Lafreniere, Beck, and Massar, and then Kapanen, Suzuki, and Lekkerimäki, and then Ilonen, Monahan, and Dach. So it just looks like probably Dach and Ilonen we're probably going to end up getting rid of. Maybe even Kapanen as well. But in terms of depth, you see all these 5-star potential guys that are coming through the system. So it should be pretty good pretty soon. Maybe a year or 2 before some of these players end up getting brought up. But yeah, the season didn't end up as a complete dud. I did think for a little while that we ended up breaking Cole Caulfield, but still 58 points in 82 games is pretty terrible. So hopefully with the young guys getting more experience and stuff like that, they end up helping him produce more. But on a positive note, Lafreniere ends up having another career season. So as much as we broke Cole Caulfield, Lafreniere ended up coming up in clutch. Now that we're going to switch him onto left wing, hopefully he can do something about it. But taking a look at how the standings, well, I think there's only like 1 or 2 games or whatnot, but it looks like Tampa Bay finished at the top in the Eastern Atlantic, and Carolina ended up finishing first in the Eastern. Bruins and Leafs are going to make it as well, and then Devils and Flyers, with Ottawa coming back to hopefully win again. And then Buffalo, it looks like they squeeze into the last spot there. And then the Western Conference, you end up having Vancouver, Edmonton, Seattle, and then St. Louis, Minnesota, and the Jets. And then of that, Vancouver takes the number 1 spot. And then, oh no, maybe they don't. It's going to come down to the last game. And then Flames end up making the playoffs, which kind of screws our draft pick that we had for them. So we're going to have an early one and a late one. Top of the league, Matthews had 57 goals. That is pretty insane. 57 goals and still not getting highest points. That just means he does not like to pass it at all. And then Draisaitl coming in second. It looks like Hughes comes in first there. Then look, oh no, that's nothing. Okay, let's see who. I highly doubt that we come up for any awards, so Calder would have been the only thing we hoped for. But yeah, 3.5 star. That looks like he's gonna probably take it. Oh, and Zach Benson ended up having a bit better of a year as well. So the more that we end up forcing him onto this team, the better he's gonna end up. I think he's now at a 3.5 star. But our prospects look good. Our goalies look terrible. Let's take a quick look at Zach Benson. Yeah, he ended up doubling his points total. He spent some time on the first line, but most of it on the second. But he went from, I think towards the beginning of the season, it showed that he was only going to be a 4-star potential, and he bumped up to a 5-star. So I guess more playing time in important times end up helping a lot. Now, quick look at who is in the playoffs. Vancouver and Golden Knights. I always think that Golden Knights are probably going to go far in it. With our luck, Calgary's going to go past Seattle, no problem. Blues are. I feel as though Edmonton should beat them. They're always a regular season team that the game ends up giving a lot of credit for, but I don't know about playoffs. And then I guess Minnesota should probably win that one. Carolina will probably win there. New Jersey should probably win, and then Ottawa's probably going to come back somehow and go to another final. And then we just know it's broken. And then Toronto, if history tells us, should be out first round. Yeah, Ottawa's going to steamroll Tampa for whatever reason. Draft-wise, see anything here? Yeah, they're all old players. Yeah, nothing to write home about there. But Pacioretty was an epic disappointment. I don't even know why we brought that guy back. Oh, Boston's leading that one. New Jersey's leading that one. And it's tied with Edmonton as well. Ottawa ends up sweeping. Yeah, that seems realistic. Ottawa sweeps them. Congratulations. Toronto's going to somehow find a way to get past Boston. It's slanted towards Canadian teams. At least that's what I'm finding early. And I know I was talking about before about the injuries and stuff, how there weren't too many of them. I was wrong. There's definitely a lot more that ended up happening in season 2 than season 1. I don't know what that is, but it seemed kind of odd the amount of injuries that we ended up getting throughout the season. A lot of them seemed pointless, but it was just a lot more. Clicking is a lot harder to get through this season than it was last season. Last season felt like a breeze in comparison. Yeah, Owen Beck did not have a good season, but he started off most of it in the AHL, and we brought him up, so he should be good for next year, or he's probably a 3-year developer. And Hall of Fame nominations now. I still think Toronto's going to make it through. And same thing with Calgary. I did see a Bo Danfoos. I don't know if that's his son. Gilney. I did like McGilney. Doug Weiss should probably get it, though. Yep, Toronto's going to win. Except for Seattle's going to probably win that one now. And Vegas is tied. Toronto ends up winning as I'm correct. Actually, I think we did have some. Let me show you. think we shipped off 1 or 2 people. Where is it? Oh, Harvey Pinard we ended up getting rid of with Corey Perry for a 4th and a 3rd, just to kind of get rid of him. That was the only trade that we ended up doing, but then Leafs ended up waiving him right away, so I don't know if they just did it for Corey Perry. He did have 6 points. Let's see if he's doing anything in the postseason, or if they're even playing him. Yeah, they're playing him, but he's not doing anything. But they still breeze past first round. And Vegas, like I said, ends up making it through. So, as it stands, yeah, it's going to be a battle between Ottawa and Toronto. It's very convenient considering at least one of those teams are going to make it back to the championship or the Stanley Cup. Most likely it's going to be Ottawa again. Unless Toronto wins, and then you just know this is all rigged. Minnesota and St. Louis, I think St. Louis is going to probably steamroll them. And like I said, Vegas, I feel as though is broken this game. And New Jersey, I think New Jersey is going to pass through. But it's probably going to be Toronto, New Jersey, St. Louis, and Vegas. Could be wrong, but I have a feeling that's what ends up happening. New Jersey, yep. Oh, Seattle. Toronto, Minnesota. Didn't I say St. Louis? Tied. Seattle sweeps them. That's going to be crazy. Seattle's going to sweep them. Oh my god. And Minnesota's going to sweep them. Carolina leads. So I was wrong about that. I'm just terrible at this. But 3-1 Leafs. I was right about that at least. Carolina makes it, which is weird since they were terrible last year. Toronto leads it, and Minnesota ends up winning 4-1. Oh, Vegas came back. And yep, like I said, Vegas is back. So Toronto and Vegas were my 2 right ones. The other ones I was completely off on. Toronto ends up leading. Minnesota, they're going to go down 2 games and then they're going to win it again. Toronto, Minnesota, Toronto still 2-1. Minnesota 2-1. Oh, tied now. Tied as well, so I was at least right about that. Toronto leads, and let's see, it's going to be Vegas again. Probably isn't now. I didn't even realize that we had Vinny LeCavier as one of our scouts. Found that pretty interesting. I'll check that later. Van Beesbrook, yep. Vinny Danfus for sure. Marlowe, I have to. And then, I guess Chara, even though he is a rival, but nothing you can really say. That guy probably deserves it. See about our potential guys. Let's see if we end up losing anything. Soto was surprisingly a surprising find. He ended up he was a 5-star for the longest time potential. And then let's see got the guys that we have. Owen Beck ends up improving a bit. Logan Mayu as well, but now he's down to a 4-star. Slavkovsky ends up improving as well. And then McGrady 3-star now, or almost 3-star, 2.5. Demidov good, but probably won't start for a while. And then Lade Hudson. So I was right about him. He's 4-star now. And then Kappen going down. None of the guys that we thought. I was hoping. Yeah, Toronto's in the finals. And just watch. It's going to be Vegas as well. Nope. Wow, Vegas just coming up short. So Oh, they actually show it now. So my prediction is Toronto. Toronto's going to win it because why not have all Canadian teams win it when they haven't in forever? Come on, Minnesota. Three 1 Toronto. There's no way. Oh, are they going to blow it? In typical Leafs fashion, are they going to blow it? 3-3. And our winner is Minnesota. Oh my god. Congratulations, Minnesota. You ended up beating Leafs when you were down 3-1. Congrats, Leafs, for blowing that lead. And then lost 7-6 in the finals. That is insane. Good thing we scouted this out. But let's take a look at how Minnesota ended up doing. And who ended up killing it in the season. It was Boldy. Boldy killed it. 91 points, 77 games. That's actually really good. 85. Kaprizov's on the trade block. Yeah, this thing's weird. I don't know why they had Kaprizov on it and they had Adam Fox, but I can guarantee you we can give our whole team to this team and they still won't accept it. So I don't know why they do that. I'm sure it's just a cap thing. And then playoff wise, 36. Oh my god, 36 points in 24 games. That has to be a record. That's disgusting. And then 25 and 24. That is crazy. We're going to take a quick look at something else that I'm going to start showing you guys while we have a little bit of time here. I'm going to look at previous drafts just to kind of see if anything ended up happening. So the past draft that we had, they ended up bringing up Perique. So he's a top points getter so far. 31-21 for Cristoforo, who's a defender. Oh, both are defenders actually. So a first rounder and a second rounder are the top two. Kiviarju is number 3. He was good enough to start apparently. And Andrew Basha, wow. You guys are way ahead of our prospects. And then you have Mazin Leslie that they end up starting for whatever reason as well. Yeah, most of these teams are actually starting 2 stars, 2.5 stars, so we might have to follow suit on that. Let's see. Goalies, I doubt that there's any goalies that end up starting. And then we'll do last round just so everyone can see how Bedard's doing and all that kind of crap. Yeah, so Bedard, like to be expected, 171 in 164 games. That's pretty insane. Fantilli's number 2. And then we have Zach Benson, who's our guy, who is top 3 there. So no one else of that draft is really doing anything. And I'm pretty sure Zach Benson was supposed to be a top 3 pick, but nothing ended up happening from that. Melendijk, Nate Danielson, sorry, 22. So he doesn't. They don't look like they were producing at all. So far it looks like it takes at least 2 years for them. Then a quick look at. Oh, Slafkovsky's actually leading it. That's surprising, but he probably played twice as many games as everyone else. Korchinski's number 2, even in terms of games played as well. And then Logan Cooley ends up having his rookie year this year. 43 points in 67 games. That's pretty good. That's a pretty decent rookie season for sure. Jagger Firkus is also up there as well. So in terms of prospects, it looks like, wow, there's a decent amount of 4-star potentials, and then 3.5 as well coming up. Then Lekermacki here as well, who played 29 games and got 10 points. Not too bad for his first outing. But there concludes the season. Another season to rebuild. another season disappointment, but as we can see, the team is at least producing a little bit better in terms of where we're headed, but the ability is just not there yet. But back to where we were last year, where we had no one who had potential, to now we have at least, well, at least five, 4.5 to 5 star potential guys. Where I think before we just had two, and then even in terms of ability, we have or 1 4, 3 3.5, and then a bunch of threes. So eventually it looks like this team's going to end up getting there, but it's just going to take a little bit longer than expected. But I expect the cups to start rolling in as soon as we end up getting this. We probably have a nice 2 year window after this season to be able to get as many as we can without having to pay too much for it. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Until next time.